Let's say the pledge to the flag. All rise. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, welcome everybody. I set a few chairs up and it looks like I may have to set some more up later. We'll see. We'll see. Roll call. Kelly?
Mark Holt.
Here.
Mark Frazier.
Here.
Francis Griffin.
Here.
Kelly Schmidt here. Troy Conley.
Here. Okay. You can sign in if you want to, sir. Right there. Right there. Agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Troy's made a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Butch. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay. We're going to have a Spartan Fence public hearing, a special public hearing, and I'm going to, what time is it?
7:02.
7:02. We're going to open it right now, Troy. I'm going to have you take over.
Okay, so we have received an application from Spartan Fence for a speculative industrial facilities tax exemption. This is for the building. They are building a new building on Bennett Drive. There used to be a greenhouse there towards the north end, down by Lansing Road. They purchased that property, tore it down, and are building a new building that at this point is listed as speculative. Correct. Yeah. And there's a different process for approving an IFT for a speculative building. There can't really be an IFT in place until there is a company that occupies it that meets the criteria, i.e. they're a manufacturer, and create a certain number of jobs, etc. But by establishing by us going and establishing the district and establishing the IFT, it's in place and identified that that's what the purpose of this building is. That way the opportunity is preserved once it goes on the tax roll. Normally, once the building is done and on the tax roll, that ship has sailed and you can't get a abatement on that.
Okay.
Speculative building preserves that such that if it is then occupied by a company that meets the criteria, then the abatement can take effect on the following tax year. The first step in this process is it has to be in an industrial development district, which it is not. So that's what the point of this hearing is tonight, is to establish an IDD or industrial development district. And then next month we'll have the hearing on the actual abatement itself.
Okay.
The district, it's just simply recognizing that this is a, industrial area, which it is. And there had been a question raised, why wasn't the whole industrial park in it? It has to be requested by the property owner to do it.
And
So,
Mike is here, right? And Phil is your brother.
Those are the partners.
Okay. All right. And we also have SEDP here. Brett Jones is there in the back also. Any comments?
Just that the building is finished, we're just waiting for the inspector to release it.
Okay, good.
That's the last week.
Any comment, Brett?
Well, if you bring in somebody new in the community, that's what our intent was, to build it. And if not, we're gonna try to use it ourselves.
Okay.
That's the ultimate.
so really the cutoff each year is right around, it's just like your other abatements, but on your other building, it's in that October timeframe. So to have the abatement in place for tax year 2024, it would need to be occupied by an eligible tenant, by that October timeframe.
We're actively pursuing that
Right.
right now.
And if it's not, it's preserved to add them in the future, but that'll be the cutoff for each year for the abatement. Because it'll go on, if there is no qualified tenant by the end of the year, then it would be on the regular ad valorem roll for next year, and then an abatement could come in, for the 2025 or something.
We're positive.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Any comment, Brett?
Brett Jones, Shiawassee Economic Development. I just wanted to come out tonight and voice our support for this. We've worked with Spartan Fence for several years now, and they've really shown dedication to reinvesting the business in the community. As far as the industrial building side of things, our vacancy rates are pretty much non-existent. So to try to bring new business ventures in, this is a great step in that direction, and to try to provide that as an opportunity for the Perry area. We're behind it.
Okay, okay. And a personal note, my white fence is beautiful. They put up, you know, from about 05. Oh, it's old, so there you go. Thanks, Drew.
Just so everyone else is aware, when we have companies that have tax abatements, there's criteria that they have to meet to qualify for them, and then we review them every 2 years to make sure they've kept up their promise on it. I mean, there's different years or different value amounts of investment and number of jobs created and what the wages of those jobs are, and so it can vary from 2 to 12 years
Okay,
for what they get out.
thanks, Troy. Any other comments? Board? No?
Close
Shall we close?
Yeah,
What
close.
time is it?
7:06.
7:06. Okay, 4 minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the industrial development district application for Spartan Fence.
Troy's made a motion.
Second.
Second by Butch. Okay, right. White room. Yeah.
So we get roll call.
Okay, roll call vote, Kelly.
Mark Frazier,
Yes.
Francis Griffith,
Yes.
Kelly Schmidt, yes, Troy Parmalee.
Yes.
Mark Holt.
Yes. Okay, moving on, April 5th, regular meeting minutes. Should have those somewhere.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Troy's made a motion to approve. Second by Butch. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right. Now, Thornapple, we've got a special place for you a little later on, but we have public comments. If anybody wants to share a public comment. Okay. We've got a few reports to go through. Troy, the sheriff report.
Sheriff report for the month of April 2023, there was 130 calls for service. Of them, 34 of them were traffic stops.
Good. Cecil.
We got, the used ambulance we bought is in, it's not ready to go into service yet, but it's there. And other than that, it's just kind of normal stuff.
All right. DDA, again, we did approve our land purchase that the DDA, it used to be a gas station there on Old Lansing Road. That got approved, changed to M2, which the prospective owner, which Nathan Beck, who owns Expo Paint, also owns the cider mill up there in St. John's. Anyway, I talked to him today. He's actually out of the country right now on vacation, but we're going to sign it Tuesday. We'll sign it Tuesday at 9 o'clock in Owasso. He'll do a Zoom or he'll wire the money to us, and we're all set. So I guess that's a little update. Zoning, I
Did we get a report yet?
don't think we had anything yet this month.
We haven't gotten a report. We haven't gotten a report.
May 3rd is a little early for them, but anyway, all right, commissioner report. Tom, you're on.
Sure. Well, you know, I guess I'm still kind of making the transition from township to county government, but I did attend, as part of that, I did attend the MTA's legal seminar.
Traverse City.
Traverse City, primarily because they, even though it's from a township perspective, they do a good job of doing municipal law, which applies to all local government. But one of the things that they really had some involvement with there was the solar issue of solar farms, which apparently has not hit this township nor Woodhall, as I can detect much, but there's kind of a built-in conflict. Consumers in Detroit, Edison have indicated how many hundreds of thousands of acres that they are going to need to achieve. Our state, of course, is pushing to shift from the fossil fuel type energy to created energy to so-called renewable energy, and that's why the utilities, the two big utilities are on board with it, and they're pushing it. But where it's gonna hit townships and counties in the area of zoning, number one, there are quite a number of even out-of-state people coming in to push for obtaining the rights to, for these solar farms and windmills, but that's kind of faded. The issue really seems to be solar. The concern that I have, and I see it now at the county level, I think it's New Haven Township has recently redone their zoning ordinance to deal with solar farms, and so they brought it to the county planning commission. But of course, the primary responsibility lies with the townships and zoning. But the point is that what we're concerned with is the utilities. Some of them are talking about going to the legislature to get possible preemption legislation, which would then limit what the local government can do in these areas.
Tom, you were in a room of attorneys, right?
Yeah.
Lawyers. Which, nothing against them,
Yeah.
but
No, I didn't have any particular.
you were our attorney there last year, 3 or 4 years, but really, what was their take? I mean, is there areas that they talked about staying away from, areas they were gonna focus on, or could you tell? Flatlands, or what are they telling you?
Oh, you mean what the developers are pushing?
Who are these
for?
people? Yeah.
Well, what the presentation was brought from the standpoint of we have a certain amount of farmland that it's protected. In other words, it's desired to be kept in farmland use. And so one of the big emphases was on the impact of the solar farms on, first of all, removing that farmland possibly from use, and if renewable energy ends up the debacle that seems to me it's going to end up being, if we don't have sufficient fossil fuel sources of energy to back it up, what is going to be the impact over years of the solar farms being there, either through the initial construction and changing the surface soils, or the impact of the solar farm over time, what impact that's going to have on that farmland. And so that was one of the issues. And of course, the other issue was the preemption.
Locally, when you go to your meetings there in Corunna, what are you hearing from the board, our county board? Are you hearing anything?
The county board, since I've been there in January, has not dealt with the issues. It's still at the zoning, I mean, I've talked to some people.
There's not a pending one in front of the
There's
county.
nothing pending. A number of townships have advised, of course, we have oversight of Pete Preston and the Community Development Department that handles the zoning issues for townships like Perry and Woodhull, who don't do their own zoning. You do the planning, but not the zoning. There is some discontent, however, with the approach they've been taking. There's a rewrite of the county
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission
document. Yeah.
ordinance, and so, and that is an area that I felt I should take a look at. I'm not on the zoning committee, and
Yeah.
so, now I did want to mention a couple other things. The commission the county commission did vote to reduce our numbers of meetings a month. We meet the second Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Committee meetings on Monday and Tuesday, committee of the whole on Wednesday. Thursday was the regular commission meeting. We've reduced it down to 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I voted against it. I didn't think it was proper. We've been meeting this way for a long time. I think people are, understand that's what our schedule is. I voted against it, but the
Isn't it
reason.
just a short time though? I mean, after summer, it's gonna
It's,
go back?
well, they say it's gonna be for the summer,
Okay.
but we'll see. It's through August.
So they're dropping committee of the whole, is that what they're
Well,
dropping?
what they did, in a sense, they combined the committee of the whole and the commission meeting itself on Wednesday. So it'd be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are the meeting nights.
I know to sell our property, Troy and I went on Monday night, and Troy had something going, I went on Tuesday night, right?
Wednesday.
I went on Wednesday night, and then neither one of us went on Thursday, but it was already unanimous, so unless something
Yeah.
went.
You're right, most of the time they do the same things. I've also watched them do 3 different things on 3 different days. I mean, they have. Controversial things, they too. I mean, they vote
Well,
yes one day, vote no the next day, and then they table it the 3rd day. I mean, yeah, they've done that before.
We were pretty sure, and it passed.
Tom,
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about something you said a few minutes ago when you said it's the township's responsibility for zoning. And then just now you said the opposite thing.
In Michigan, the legal structure for Michigan zoning, the primary responsibility is with the townships, the cities, in other words, local government, as opposed to the county.
Except
That's what I
that
meant.
in our case,
The
we don't
plan-
have the final say, the county does.
Yes,
And they lately have not followed our desires and our master plan, which tonight we're gonna be presented with the rewrite of our master plan, and it does deal with solar in that master plan. I just wanna make sure that you understand our desire for what our township wants when it comes to zoning, to be heard loud and clear at the county, instead of being just walked over top of like we have been lately.
and that's been one of my main points, and it happened right across M52 for me, where I live, where there was illegal spot zoning. And I emphasize the word illegal, and I know that the township fought that, but the county went ahead and approved it anyway. And that's why although I'm not on that committee, I am keeping a close eye on that.
All right,
And legally, structurally, the township plan should govern what the county does. I'll
and
tell
we
you
have
frank-
spent, one member of our planning commission has spent just a phenomenal amount of time on this to make sure that it's very clear. So that,
I think what Tom was saying is that under Michigan law, the responsibility is with us unless we don't have a zoning ordinance, which we don't, in which case, and the county does, and they do, so ours is under the county.
I know
But
that,
mean,
but I want to just make sure that we're being represented loud and
Right.
clear at the county when it comes to these situations. Is that basically correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's one of the reasons I ran is I think the townships do it. I think the county needs to recognize the township's responsibility, and because under Michigan law, planning is supposed to be the basis, the groundwork upon which the zoning decisions made by the county are made in accordance with the plan. And the county, some people at the county tend to have the idea that, well, we know best, and so we're gonna override the township, which I think is wrong. I will vote against anything like that, but I'm one of 7, and I don't see a lot of members of the commission necessarily share my point of view. They do
Well,
at times and other times.
I don't think it's, at the time of vote, that it's as important to be loud and clear as it is in the beginning of the discussion. You
Well,
know,
and I know on the Slocum situation, I know that the township here made its voice very clear.
Yeah, we couldn't have been much more clear.
Yeah,
Okay,
Can
all
I
right.
ask a question? I know it's
Yeah,
not really
sure.
a public comment. I'm Beth Andrus, and I'm on the planning commission for the township. But today, I was reading the county zoning ordinance. What a read, really, really fun. But in the very beginning, it says quite clearly that the county will adopt the plans and the land use plan of the townships, and that will be their plan. It says it very clearly. And they are deliberately ignoring it, not only in our township, but in Bennington and Woodhull. And, you know, there's just gonna be an uprising. That's what's happening. So,
I
read the zoning ordinance, it's a great read,
can't disagree with you.
yeah.
How many hours did it take?
Well, I was only working on it today.
Anita?
I'm on page 12 out of 242.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Monica?
So why does our township not do their own zoning? I mean, it is ridiculous how long it is taking to get anything done.
Troy's been here a long time.
Because the county is just ignoring us. I mean,
Well,
we're over a year working on this
it's
stupid
cost,
thing.
it's cost, it's, you know, we have, I mean, at the end of the day, it's cost, we have to hire someone to do it, and, you know, there's no, I mean, something else has to give to do all of that, right?
There's
I mean,
And an ordinance
yeah, we have to, and then you have to have an ordinance enforcer, and then you have to have legal fees, I mean, don't think we aren't considering it, I mean, we are, I mean, based on how things haven't worked as well, but I mean, that's why in our county, most of the townships have done this system where it's all consolidated at the county level. I mean, for example, we do our own here, and you want to get a building permit to do something, we're only here 2 days a week. You know, if you need something on Thursday, too bad, you know, it has to wait a week. Where they're open 5 days a week type thing. And that's why it was always done.
Because have you tried to get a hold of them?
I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah.
To get something.
Right.
And we still
And that's
haven't
why
done
we've
it.
talked about it, but I mean, that's historically why we haven't, because it used to work better than this.
I mean, Pete Preston, it's a process, Monica.
Yeah.
Really, I'd love to see him start his process.
Yeah. About 2 or 3 years ago, we had a gentleman that worked under Pete that was full-time there, 5 days a week. That helped. Now, he somehow, I don't know if it was a falling out, but he's gone or took a promotion or he's gone.
They haven't replaced it.
And he hasn't been replaced. So we've got a lady, another lady, well, 2 ladies in there answers the phones, basically. And that's it. And
See, what happened was 10, 12 years ago when the county was on one of its hard times, which it kind of still is on hard financial times, they privatized the department. They used to have county staff in there that worked for the county. That was the zoning administrator, the building inspectors and all that. Pete and his company came in and offered the county a deal to privatize it. They got rid of the county employees that were there and, you know, have Pete as a contractor. And of course now they have no staff. They have no memory, they don't have anything, right? So they're kind of beholden to what they got. I mean, it was a foolish decision that everyone saw was foolish when they did it, and yet they did it anyway,
And Nick is a fine guy that does the inspection, but he lives in St. John's, Pete lives in St. John's, they're over there, they're not in our area, they're not in our township, so, I mean, yes, we can get a hold of them, but they're hard to get a hold of them, they're hard to return the calls, as you know.
well, it's just that
And then when you do call, I get a text from Pete, don't give out that number, so, you know, there you go. But
I
that's okay.
mean, it's, ultimately, it was decisions made by the county board of commissioners a decade or more ago that started this problem coming down.
Yeah.
That would be
Fortunately,
before-
I think most of them are new county commissioners since then, but that doesn't change the damage that was done.
But they have no institutional memory now. of what they used
And that
to
was
do.
prior to my time there, but I can tell you on the Board of Commissioners, there's still the attitude that, oh, we're saving money and we couldn't afford to do this if we didn't have this privatization, but I, much opposed to it, and I don't like the fact that they don't, you talk about a process, but you have to have a process according to law.
Right.
And my problem is, they're not following, the law.
Did you have one other thing for us, Tom? Or is that it?
I think I probably
Okay, all right.
take
Thank you.
it.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, appreciate library work.
Big things were they got a grant for $13,000 for technology, which they're gonna purchase some Amazon Fire TVs for each branch, and also new printers and receipt printers and scanners and Wi-Fi access points. And they also, with that money they got from the O'Berries in the city of Perry, they're gonna put some solar Wi-Fi benches in different areas. Solar Wi-Fi benches. Yours technological as I am. But that's,
Look for that in the paper, huh?
that's all coming.
Thank you. I-69 trade.
We did have a meeting in April. There wasn't anything really of any great noteworthiness.
Okay. SEDP, I'm gonna have Britt talk real quick, he's gonna leave, so Britt, you wanna say anything special?
Like I said, told you probably had come for Spartan Fence, so
Sure.
I'm not sure what's usually reported, so.
Well,
I
give us a
might-
little update now. Your boss, Justin went to Washington DC, he did meet with Gary Peters, couldn't meet with Stabenow, I heard.
Yep, so
But
that was part of the I-69 corridors, fly into DC.
trying to get people to move into the area, right?
Yep, so there are a few a few things we're looking to do there.
Okay.
Attracting business, trying to, just from policy standpoint, trying to advocate for things that are needed along the corridor. It is a multi-state group that goes.
Okay. Thank you. Good. Mark?
Well, at the last SCDP meeting, we worked on terms of the officers of the board. We're thinking of making them longer to maybe more align with the marketing periods we have. Because you get somebody in as president and he's working very hard on something that is within the marketing area that we've identified every 5 years. And all of a sudden he's out and he hasn't had a chance to really develop with that. So that's part of it. That was the big thing with that. With the land bank, we are right now working on hiring a consultant for a housing study for in the county, and I'm pushing hard to get local numbers also in that, instead of just a countywide thing, so that we can draw from that. And we're going out for bid on those pieces, those orphan pieces of property, and we're going to have those pieces in Lennon, but we haven't decided quite how we're gonna market those, because they're buildable. Blight grant applications for the second phase are due by the 15th of this month. So you would get a hold of Brent or Justin to, if we had somebody in the township that was interested. And those are all competitive throughout the state. We can receive up to $1 million in our county, but the chances of getting that much are pretty slim. And it's going to be competitive with everybody for this money. We do have round 3 coming toward the end of the summer, as far as we know now, that is $500,000 that will be dedicated to Shiawassee County for blight grant work. So probably for most projects, that's where they're going to fall, is into that third one. That's pretty much what's going on.
Okay. And last but not least, planning commission, did they meet?
We did meet and we worked on the master plan, and that is here.
That's coming up next.
That is coming up as an agenda item. We also did approve that annual report, and that's also coming up as an agenda item.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, thank you. All right, Troy, financial report and pay the bills.
All right, you got your bills list in front of you. Nothing really of any noteworthiness this month. We did receive our first revenue sharing check of the fiscal year, and we also did get reimbursed for our election security grant that, why would we get that stuff last September, October?
Yeah, I submitted it in September. I think a lot of the township clerks and city clerks were putting some feet on the treasury department to give us our money, so.
6 months later, they reimbursed us
Well,
for
at
it.
least we got it.
Sure,
And the check-
I guess
and
at
the
least
check-
we got
and the
it.
check didn't bounce, right?
I don't know, I just deposited yesterday.
Okay, okay. The only correspondence we got.
Yeah, we got the pay bills.
Oh, let's pay the bills.
Motion pay the bills.
All right, motion's been made by Mark, to pay the bills, second by Butch, roll call vote, Kelly.
Mark Foltz?
Yes.
Mark Frazier?
Yes.
Francis Griffith? Kelly Schmidt?
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
The only correspondence was from your county ordinance, county, it was our property, goods zone went from B1 to M2 for Bex to put a couple propane tanks on, there used to be a gas station, and he's gonna advertise off the road. So that passed unanimously, so that was good. Like I say, we made contact with him today, so we got that set up for a Tuesday at 9, right? Tuesday at 9, for the signing, and the DDA will get that check from the property sale, so. Okay, public comments, second one, any announcements, Kelly? No. Any other public comments before we start? Okay, unfinished business. Okay, our master plan people are here.
They are.
Very place, and he's gonna divert it to Beth. Okay, Beth,
Okay.
we've got the document.
Yes, you do. My name is Beth Andrus. I'm on the Perry Township Planning Commission. For the audience's knowledge, we've been working on a revamp of our master plan now for about a year and a half. Because state law requires that you review your plan every 5 years. Well, that would have been 2021, would have been our 5-year mark. But we were waiting on census data, and as everybody knows, the census data was delayed because of the pandemic largely. And so we really couldn't get started on it much until last February 2022. And so we've been through a whole bunch of different things that we've done and changed, and so it's a real revamp of the previous plan. For the board's information, I wanted to be sure, I know you've all had a chance to look at it, wanted to be sure that you realize there were some things that we did change from the first draft that we had given you in February. I think it was February. Anyway, recently. One was on the energy policy issue, which speaks to the issue of the solar farms. And we've done a lot of reading and a lot of research on what's being done in other places, and we tried to put language in the master plan that would address the issue. Now, obviously, if the legislature makes some law that overrides all this, it becomes a moot point, but we aren't there yet. So, the main change we made, I think, was to flesh out the fact of where we would like to have a solar farm or more than one placed if that becomes an issue. One of the things in reading about this is that they like to have these solar farms close to transmission lines. There's really only one major transmission line in the township, and it parallels the old interurban line. It comes in on Morris Road at the north side of the township, down to the railroad tracks in the village, and then heads west toward Lansing and just parallels the Canadian National the whole way. If you look at that area, where's the best place to go? Well, there is state recommendations that you need to be only about 2/10 of a mile from these transmission lines. Well, that's not very far. So that limits where we would put solar farms. Now, it isn't that they all can't be further than that, but it isn't real economical to be further than that because you're losing power as you go, obviously. So what we did was we looked at our soil map, which you have in your book, and looked at a proposed solar energy zoning ordinance from, or zoning, part of the zoning ordinance from Caledonia Township. Now, Caledonia does do their own zoning, they're a charter township, and they do their own zoning. And what they've recommended is that that first of all, that solar energy collector systems be screened on all sides with a green belt composed of either 2 deciduous canopy trees or 1 deciduous canopy tree and 1 evergreen tree and 4 large shrubs every 25 feet. So, you know, it's basically you're not going to be able to see the thing from the road. It isn't going to be an eyesore like it is up on M21 in Hazelton Township. And the entire development must be enclosed by a 5-foot high wall, fence, or berm. Okay, that's their proposed ordinance. They also speak to the issue of prime farmland preservation. And I can give you copies of these if you want, guys. How much more reading do you want to do? And what they reference is USDA's farmland classification map. And say that you should not put these farms, these solar farms, on prime farmland. And so if you look at your soil map, which is this one, I've got it in ink. Yeah, that's the one that we have. You can see at the northern part of the township, that pinkish area, that's a Miami Conover Brookston Association. That's considered prime farmland anywhere in the state. Okay, that is good land up there. And if you stay along the railroad tracks, then you'll see that the area with the poorest land, although it's not bad land necessarily, but the poorest land is in sections 19 and 20 over on the west side of the township along the railroad tracks. See where we are? So it's both within the city and the township. And there's nothing wrong with these soils per se, except they're not drained. If they were drained, they too could be very good agricultural land, but right now they're not.
So there's a lot of water trapped.
Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't mean you can't put solar panels there. I mean, because you know we can build anything we want to build. So that's what I'm saying there. So what we have recommended in the plan is that we put solar farms in those 2 sections. If anybody wants to come and do a solar farm in the township. Okay, that's our recommendation.
So it's the pink area in 19 and 20?
No, well, the yellow area in 1920 is the city boundaries.
Yes.
Okay. And then you've got the green,
Yes.
which is decent land, but it's not drained. And it's not being farmed for the most part. And then of course the purple, that's real muck ground. But that isn't so much in 20 and 19, there's a little bit of it.
Just for as a matter of information with all these types of things, solar farms are a legal activity and you can't just ban them.
Can't ban them.
You have to, you can regulate them, you can regulate the bejeebus out of them, but you
Right.
can't ban them.
Right.
So that's why you have to designate areas for all this stuff.
So that's,
You can't just say
we're
we don't,
trying to be proactive here.
right, you can't ban them or you'll lose.
And not just be caught short like they were up in Hazelton.
Well, the nice thing is you can write it to where you have to have the berm or the barrier. Or
Yeah,
whatever,
well, again, this is an ordinance. I don't know if it hasn't been fought out in court or
Oh, yeah,
anything,
of course.
okay? Who knows?
What else?
Okay, so that was, I wanted you to be aware of that. The other thing is I wanted you to take a good look at the future land use map. That's the last map in your plan. Because we did make some significant changes there.
The very last one.
The very last map, yeah.
So that would be map
Map
12 on page
yeah.
70.
73, I think, yeah. And the major change we made here was to look at what really exists right now in our township and look at those areas where we've got a mixed use going on. Where we've got houses, we've got businesses, we have some places that are zoned commercial that are right next to A2 land, that sort of thing. And we designated those in the dark blue as for future mixed use. We expect this pattern to continue.
Which is near the expressway.
Right, near the freeway, near M52, basically, the crossroads.
Prime example, take Lansing Road between Roos Road and M52, right?
Right,
So the main commercial industrial area is to the east of M52 towards Morris. But you go on that west part there, there's a doctor's office, there's the
There's a Ford dealership.
there's a Ford dealership, but there's 2 or 3 houses, and then there's, another auto repair. That's mixed use, that's what it is. I mean, it's probably long-term commercial, but it's not gonna be all commercial in the next 10 years even, it's a mixed.
Not in the
So-
next 20.
So that's why it's designated.
This is not zoning, this is strictly wish
Right.
This
list.
is what
Well,
our,
remember when we had the question of the shift shops rezoning
Right.
came up?
Right.
You really have to follow a future land use map if you're gonna have it, and that was right on the edge, of the area for
Right.
commercial, because you had across the street was commercial, but to the west of it wasn't, and all that. So that's why this mixed use designation seemed like it made more sense.
Yep.
Because, that way it handles that. Where if you wanted to put that somewhere, down the road here, it wouldn't be allowed, because that's,
yeah, you could
this-
just
this
forbid
is-
it, because it doesn't.
this
meet the
is
zoning.
ag, ag and rural residential, where that's a mixed use area, so.
Right.
The idea with this is if we do go down the route of our own zoning, this really has to work. This map has to be,
Yeah, this map will
you
be the
gotta follow,
Bible.
you gotta follow it.
The
You
map will
have
be
to
the
follow
Bible.
it.
Yeah. And the big blue area north of the freeway there, most of that is farmland. Can't think of a single business right there just right now, but the point being, it's all part of the DDA district. And so the assumption is at some point,
Well, you got the vet's office up there.
you got the vet's office on 52, right?
That's about the only.
But if
Yeah,
it's in the DDA, it should probably be in a mixed use category.
right, because it's gonna over time
Right.
be
Well, and that's
commercial.
back to the feeling by the township board and the planning commission that we try to group things together so that we don't have this
Spot zone.
shotgun
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Okay. So at our special meeting a week ago Monday, we passed a motion, I'll find it here any day now, which basically approved the draft of the master plan and send it to you guys for reviews and comments. If you're not gonna send it back to us, I hope you're not. We ask that under the statute, the planning commission secretary is supposed to send out all the copies to all the other municipalities. We would like Kelly to do that for us.
I have the list.
Yeah, you have the list and the postage and all that kind of stuff.
At the end of the day, you're right, you guys have approved the draft, we
Right.
now have to send it out to the jurisdictions, we notified us for intent to plan, and then they have 63
63 days.
for comments,
63 days, huh?
and then it comes
They have to
back
comment.
for the planning commission, this is not done yet.
No,
this
unfortunately.
is a draft.
So we don't need a motion or nothing?
No, we need a draft, we need a motion to send it out.
Motion to send it out.
Go ahead, Kelly.
So
Kelly.
I had a question on page 14.
Page 14.
It looks like there's a duplicate area, that very bottom part.
Nothing's possible.
It's up here in the development and vacant land.
Development and vacant land, okay.
You see the premature subdivision of a vacant rural lands? It's down here at the bottom too.
Oh, sure it is.
It's not a big deal for sending out for the draft.
Well, but it's easy to take out. Haven't made the 17 copies
Right,
yet.
and there was a spelling error too.
I can take it out.
22.
It just repeats itself.
22, Roos Road is spelled R-E-U instead of R-U-E.
Oh, and Sandy missed that too.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, where are you on?
22,
Uh-huh.
it's the very last, or the second to the last,
Nobody asked me to prove it.
No, we approved it. Sandy and I did.
where it says current zoning generally reflects existing use.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see it. Yeah, right there. Got it.
Anything else, Kelly? One more.
One more.
One more.
I had a question on the zoning map.
Sure.
Does the zoning map necessarily match up to the land use map as far as,
No, the zoning map is what
Exists
supposedly the county says it is zoned presently.
Right.
okay,
Where the future land use is if if a rezoning request came up, what would you do?
Okay.
Type thing. So yes, they are gonna differ some.
Okay.
We have found things on the county zoning map
Don't make any sense at all.
that we don't think are correct, but we don't have any way to
Right.
say that it's, if we don't have anything in a file that says otherwise, it is what it is. I mean,
Okay.
so this was pulled off like the county GIS data.
Yeah, I was just questioning this section right here. It's zoned A2, but it's small parcels
Where are you looking?
right here.
Okay.
That
Oh,
area.
This is A1.
Mhm.
No, you look at the GIS, it's A1. I did too. That's why I know. Look again.
Oh, yes, it is. No, is it?
Yes.
Yes,
The
it is.
problem is this
Yes.
one, on the lane road here. This all shows as A1. You know,
It's not,
and
that was
it
changed,
can't possibly
that
be.
was changed.
This is A2.
Yes,
Okay.
this sort of shows as A1, and it can't be, there's too many houses there.
Oh, just two.
Just, you know, it was against all the rules,
Yep.
so.
Beth, anything else?
All right.
Okay, board.
I'll make a motion that we approve sending the draft master plan out to the
17.
to the municipalities we notified, yeah.
Troy's made a motion, seconded by Butch. Roll call. Yeah, probably should. Roll call it, Kelly.
Francis Griffith.
Yes.
Kelly Schmidt, yes. Troy Carmel.
Yes.
Mark Foltz.
Yes.
Mark Frazier.
Yes.
Okay, Mark, Planning Commission annual report for 2022.
Okay, I'll just read what we
Okay.
reported. January, no meeting. We don't have meetings when there's no business to
Sure.
enact. February, we approved the Slocum property site plan because we were kind of forced to by the county.
All right.
March, no meeting. April worked on the master plan. May worked on the master plan. And we say we worked on the master plan in the meeting. If we spend an hour and a half in a meeting working on the master plan, Beth has spent probably 30 hours working on it prior to that. June approved Joe Falzone's site plan review on his auxiliary building. And also approved the building on Lansing Road where that carpet store burned down for the new one. July, denied an SUP for a dog kennel in a residential area, and then after a whole bunch of discussion on that, August, that was approved. September, no meeting. October, rezoned the old Talbot property owned by the township in the DDA to B2 from B1, and that was for the
It was M2, it was M2, but
yeah,
that's fine.
whatever. November, no meeting. December, no meeting. And we approved that report.
I'll make a motion that we place the planning commission annual report with the correction on the zoning file.
Motion been made, seconded by Butch. Okay,
We don't do.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is Thornapple Drive. And just to give a little update to the members of the public that's out here, Troy and I spent all better part of a half an hour there today. He and I found in the middle of Beard Road the, what do you call it? The
Survey marker.
survey marker, and he said, no, we need to be 330 feet to the center line, and we were basically 300, pretty close to
So let's
330 feet
just-
to the
let's-
center line of the road. So
Let's give a little summary of what's going on here. So there's a property owner on Thornapple Drive who last year decided was going to build a fence and placed, call them 8 to 10 inch diameter wooden posts right on the edge of the road. I mean, touching the gravel, right? Put them all down there on their property. It obviously caused concern of other residents on the road. It was brought to our attention. It is a private road. So, I mean, if it was a public road that did that, the road commission would go through there and just get rid of them. But I mean, it's a private road, so that doesn't exist. So we have been in contact with the property owner in question and her contractor, had all kinds of back and forths on it. We did cite the zoning ordinance on it, and section 8.14, part D, says no fence, wall, planting, or structure shall be within 10 feet of any public or private right-of-way, be such be of such a nature as will impede clear vision of any intersection, sidewalk, street, alley, or driveway. So the zoning administrator interprets that, and I would agree with him, that it can't be on the easement or the right-of-way. I mean, Thornapple's not really a right-of-way, it's an easement, because it's a private road. But, and then if it impedes any vision, it has to be 10 feet off of that. So if it is an opaque fence, it would most definitely have to be off of that, because you can't, you know, you've got a curve there, you can't impede the clear vision corner of that. So at a minimum, it has to be off the easement. So there's been discussion by the said property owner claiming that, well, the road isn't in the right spot.
I mean, you know, that it moved.
That it moved. It's moved 40 feet somehow in all of this time. So one of the, which is, we know hadn't happened. So I pulled from the Register of Deeds the legal description and the survey of when Thornapple Drive was done back in, what was it, 1972. And Mark and I went out and we got a measuring wheel. We found the quarter stake in Beard Road and we measured down the 330.98 feet. And we were certainly within 2 or 3 inches of the center of Thornapple Drive. Keep in mind, there's a 66-foot easement. The road can be anywhere in that 66-foot easement. In a perfect world, it's always down the center. But I mean, it could be all on the one side. It doesn't matter. As long as it's within that easement, that's where it belongs. It's certainly within a couple inches of being centered. We then measured the 33 feet to get to the edge of the easement where this person's property would start. And they have a stake right in their yard where that is. And it's certainly within you know, I'm not a surveyor, but I mean, it's darn awful close. They also have stakes on their property going down the road, where clearly it was surveyed before where the edge of the easement is. We have pictures here, the board has pictures of it, basically showing, you know, we'll hold it up, we've got, yeah, you know, we have the post on the edge of the road, we have the property owner's current fence, and then we have the stake where the edge of the easement is, which right now the fence that's there is more than in compliant. What's not in compliant is the poles. So I guess where Pete left, Kelly, why don't you summarize what Pete told you last week?
So basically, he told me that if we as a township wanted to make a deal, that we could do that. And
If the
he would be
township wanted
okay
to
with
make
that.
a deal,
Make a deal to do what?
Make a deal to do less than the easement, because he's saying that the posts need to be on the easement, at the edge of the easement, in order to be,
It needs to be off the
follow
easement.
the ordinance.
Right.
It has to be at the edge of the easement. But if you guys talked with the owner and you're okay if they set them back less than that, then he would be okay with that. And I said, no, that's
Because we
not
talked
what
to
we're
most
gonna
of
do.
you, you know, we
Yeah,
know
we're
what,
not
your-
okay
we
with
know
They
what your
said,
thoughts
well,
are.
maybe Mark can talk to him and, cut a deal. And I said, first of all, he can't do that. And I said, so it sounds like this needs to go to our board meeting. And that's why we're here. So, I recommend that we follow what the ordinance says and that they put those posts at the 33 feet and be done with it.
Yes, the existing fence, Kelly had a picture, because about a month ago I went and measured, Greg and I, with the tape, and the house that has the little fence up on the other side is 33 feet from the center line of the road. Greg's fence, 33 feet from the center line of the road. Their fence is 38 feet, that temporary fence, they call it temporary, that long put up, or Ina put up for. So that's 38 feet, until you get to the curve, and it's about 31 feet. So it's a little bit less on that curve. So that, it's not permanent, but that fence that they got up is held, what, by 2 or 3, whatever the wires.
I call it a pretty substantial
It's a pretty substantial fence they put up for the cows. So anyway, long story short, Lon, when he was alive, told her, I want those, so whatever deal they cut before he passed away, then that's what Ina's trying to do. Ina was here with Pete I know, and some company of hers was with Kelly. I had a doctor's appointment, I was not here, so I missed, so all of my comments I got this last week was from Kelly, John Roll, and Nick. I had not talked to Pete again. I've called him 4 times, I have not got no response from Pete. So, of course, that's not unusual, you know. When he sees me, he says, "Oh, Mark, I owe you a phone call." Yeah, right. So, basically, the reason we're here is to try to get your feeling for what we're going to tell Pete and what we're going to try to vote on as a board, and make sure we placate what your needs are. Try to get those holes out and get the holes filled in so we don't have a crash and we don't have, it's been way too long, I agree, way too long, but we want to hear some comments? Monica?
You've been telling me that Pete says it has to be 42 feet from the center of the road, so
Kelly,
why?
That's
So,
if
okay,
it's a
so
board,
is
if
it
it's a
42 or
blind
30?
fence, you're like a
So where that would happen,
Oh,
so
so
that
that
would
would be if it
occur.
was the,
boarded fence, yes.
If it obstructs vision, then
Privacy,
it would have
privacy.
to come back.
So I'll read that sentence again one day. It has to be 10 feet further
Yes.
from, be of such a nature as if it will impede clear vision of an intersecting sidewalk, street, alley, or driveway. So basically, if it was an opaque fence, it would have to be further back because you can't see through it. Plus, when you're at, the curve and stuff there. So if it's not an opaque fence, then it can just be at the edge of the right of way or the easement, which is, and it is very clear.
Otherwise, it have to be at 33 feet.
33 feet from the center of the easement and
66 feet.
right, and the easement is not perfectly centered right there. I mean, it is probably slightly more shifted,
Well, you can see where the ditches used to be and how the,
but it's pretty darn close.
Yes,
And like I said, that road is maybe 20 feet wide if you use your imagination.
And that
So-
corner, so many people go
And
off in the ditch.
the easement is
It's crazy
66
right
feet, so there could be 3 of those roads in that easement and it would still be within the easement.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and like Rick said, he's trying to widen it a little bit too, making it on both sides, and that helps,
he was just a bitter man, is what it is. He was pissed off for so long, that's what it is.
Well,
we've dealt with them every time the assessment, I mean,
Yeah.
we've had to go to court to defend that assessment.
the last time was 2014, they took it to the tax tribunal to get out and pay him $1,000, and they denied it, and Kelly actually went, of course, she lived there, and she actually had the truck cutting, on the road, using the road to clear his side of his trees out, so Kelly did that, so that was in October of 2013, the law judge threw it out and said, you owe $1,000.
So
You're using the road.
Right, I guess,
So-
does anyone think that lives on the road that they should be allowed to have it closer than 33 feet?
Absolutely
now.
not.
No.
No?
We
Okay.
don't either.
We don't.
Which is why we wanted you here.
But the biggest thing is we need to make sure that he understands that he needs to put it where it belongs and he needs to enforce that.
Yeah, and when I discussed this with Pete one time last fall, and he kept going around, I said, Pete, the ordinance says public or private right of way. It doesn't say public, because he kept saying, well, it's the private road. I said, it says public or private right of way in the section.
The other thing too is there's a difference between agricultural fencing and
Correct.
Fencing that you would
Privacy.
put up as a privacy fence or something like that. So agricultural fencing can go right on the.
It can go right on there. You're allowed to use barbed wire on that. Where if you're building like a privacy fence between you and your neighbor, you're not allowed to use barbed wire. And you have to be so many feet back from your. But agricultural fences in the A1, A1.5, or A2 district are allowed. So here's the
Is
resolution.
there any more questions? Okay.
So here's the resolution I just threw together a few minutes ago, so we can send this to the county. Let me just read it.
Yeah.
Whereas an issue has come up where a property owner has installed 8 to 10 inch diameter wooden posts along the edge of the roadway directly adjacent to the gravel roadway, whereas Perry Township has received numerous complaints after these posts were installed from residents on the road concerned about the safety of these posts. Whereas this issue has been going on since the latter half of 2022, involving numerous parties, including the Shiawassee County Community Development Department, the property owner, and other property owners on the road. Whereas the Shiawassee County zoning ordinance, section 8.1.4, governs fences and requires that fences be off the easement or right-of-way of private or public roads and up to 10 feet from the right-of-way if it obscures vision from corners or driveways. Whereas Perry Township administers a special assessment district for maintenance on Thornapple Drive per statute based on a petition request of the landowners. Therefore, be it resolved, the Perry Township Board is requesting that the poles be moved off the private road easement at a minimum and further back if the Shiawassee County Community Development Department determines it is necessary. Perry Township Board further acknowledges that the location off the easement is a zoning issue and that the Shiawassee County Community Development Department has jurisdiction over that issue. I think that gets it clear to Pete that it is to be off the easement, so that no one is okay with it being on the easement.
Should it be made clear that this has really
made
been
the
going
motion.
on
Did
you
since
make the motion?
March of 22?
I said since the
Late 22.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you
Early
just read.
20.
It's been over a year.
Sure, we can call it early.
You're gonna make the motion?
Sure, I'll make it.
Troy, second?
Yep.
Mark? Roll call vote, Kelly.
Kelly Schmidt, yes. Troy Trombley.
Yes.
Mark Foltz.
Yes.
Mark Frazier.
Yes.
Francis Griffin.
Yes.
When were they actually put in?
March.
I think it was March of 22.
Was it March?
She's probably got it on her phone.
I probably have it on my phone.
We thank you all for coming. We really do. And there were others who called. and-
Sorry you wasted so much money on
I know you had to see here this,
installing
didn't you? Thank you. But, yeah.
So, I mean, yes.
We hear you
He
loud.
has the authority to
We
just
we
deal
hear
with
you
this,
loud and
and
clear.
we're
We'll
going
get
to,
this, we'll get this email to them so they can react to it. Very quickly.
Mark,
Thank you.
Mark,
Time frame.
procedurally, what if they don't do anything?
well, at the end of the day, I mean, the county's the one that has to take,
And what if they don't?
Well,
Do they give them a certain time?
County will.
The county will. You're confident, good.
Do we have a time frame?
Yeah, do we have a time frame?
we can't give you a time frame. I mean, we do not have the jurisdiction to do that. So, I mean, the county,
Kelly and I will sign this, her as the clerk and I as the super. We will sign it and, tonight, and I will email it to Pete tomorrow. So he'll have it tomorrow. I do my best to call him every day till I get to talk to him. Eventually, I'll get to talk to him.
If you need a contractor pull them, I can do it in a half a day, no problem.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Dave.
I mean,
Give me your name
the
again.
trick with doing
Dave
that,
Jones.
Dave Jones, Dave
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
So,
the
this is
problem
good.
with doing that is that could open up a whole,
It's
Other-
private, it's
we don't-
private
we don't
property.
Give a fair price, I mean,
Right.
give them a fair price.
right, I mean, so, I would advise against doing that, you know, officially, but I mean,
Off the record, John Roll, I talked to him on Monday or Tuesday? Monday. I talked to him on Tuesday. No,
Monday.
Monday.
He
I
said
talked to
he's
him
going
Monday.
on
He says, Mark, I got my truck packed, I'm going up north. I got something to do. I said, well, we're gonna have a meeting with the people. I don't want to meet with the people. I said, well, yes, we do. We're gonna meet with the people of Thornapple and find out what their take is. Where are you coming back? And, as far as I know, he's not back yet. So I assume, he didn't answer the phone today, so I assume tomorrow I'll call him. I'll come in here, I'll call him and explain that we have a resolution. I'll be happy to read it to you. If you want to come by the township, I'll give you a copy of it so he can read it, take it to Ina, have her read it, realize that we mean business, you know. And I think I told somebody of you that it was Pete's intent. When Troy and I was there on Monday, Pete was there. He said, I owe you a phone call. He always says that to me. I said, yes, you do. Thornapple, the problem with the polls. I'm gonna have Nick go see Ina again. No, I don't want to put Nick through that. I want to go and meet at the township hall. And I want Ina to be there and that John Roll and tell him that I'm going to fine him so much every day until he gets some polls out there. Now,
That
that's
was never discussed.
quote unquote what he said to me. Didn't I tell you that? That's what he said to me. And obviously he was talking off the top of
Well,
his head.
my recommendation would be if this thing stalls too long after, you know, everybody's been notified at the county, that you contact Tom Emery, who was sitting right there, Greg Borderer, who is the head of the county commission, and Brian Boggs, who is the county administrator, and just keep contacting them.
He works for him.
I gotta change that.
Yeah, he works for them.
You know, and
That's
I
his
would just,
boss.
I would just keep contacting those three people if.
the more,
this thing
if
gets
they get
stalled.
bothered all day long by all kinds of different people helps. You know, squeaky
Did you
wheel.
help calling Pete? What's all of us calling this private
No,
number?
but if you start calling the commissioners,
Yeah, I would call the office and I would call the commissioners. That's who I would call.
Yep.
Because you need to call Pete's bosses, basically.
So we can get those numbers and we can
Sure, we'll
copy
give
to
you the
everybody
number.
on the road.
Yeah,
We can
they're
set
public
a time to call every day.
Yeah, they're public offices, so yeah.
I mean, that's their job. And, our guys have done what they can do to try to get this straightened out
Is
for
that
you.
Rick Crawford then, Shiawassee County Road Commission?
No.
That won't help you.
That won't help?
That-
No,
that-
that
it's
won't
not-
help
see,
you.
it's private roads. The road commission has nothing to do with it.
So contacting our commissioner, who's Tom Emery,
County commissioner, not
county
road
commissioner, the head of the county commission, who's Greg Boyer, and Brian Boggs, who's the county administrator. Those three people are directly connected to us, and we just keep contacting them until we get tired of hearing about it, if that's what it takes.
You know, in business, what I would do is I would send that email to Pete, and I would copy those three guys,
Yes.
That's
I can do
fine.
that, sure.
so that they're all in the loop.
Yep.
Okay,
That's a good idea.
that's
You
a
know,
good idea.
But
That's a good idea.
sometimes you just gotta be the squeaky wheel, right?
Should I blind copy him, or should I?
I would
somebody-
copy, no, I copy them right up. That puts the fire under Pete's butt.
Okay.
See, that was one of the things that I said to Ina. I said, I want you to keep this in mind as the last comment of this meeting that we have. I said, this is a private drive. People are personally responsible because it's not an association. So if someone goes off and it hits these poles and gets hurt or gets killed or
I call
whatever,
Sam.
Yeah.
they can sue you personally because of that.
And you've seen how bad that road can get at
I
times.
do, I know.
Yes.
I said, so you need to really keep that in mind when you make your decision on whether or not to pull these poles.
I mean, this has been a dispute literally for the last 50 years on one thing or another.
On roads.
Yeah.
Right, so I mean, it's,
This has been going on since at least May 5th, because I looked back and found my text message from you, to you, where I said, what is going on?
we'll change it from the later part of 2022 to the early part.
Yes,
Okay,
so I think it was the end of March.
Thank you.
thank you for coming, guys, appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. We'll keep you informed.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a good one.
bye-bye.
It is always keeping everybody in the loop, right?
Okay, DDA bylaws.
Okay,
Well, it was reduced to 7.
Well, we'll wait and see what happens.
Kelly has the bylaws from the DDA, we approved them at our meeting, and Kelly's made the change.
So some
One
people
of
in the
them,
union
and
complained,
where they're
got
at.
my ocean. And
All right, so this is an update to the DDA bylaws.
Number 9, the last sentence, is basically it.
One of the things that they wanted, the DDA wanted, is to have maps included in their bylaws. And it's not really feasible because the maps belong in our master plan. And so I told Mark, I said, that can't happen. I said, so what I'll do is I'll see current Perry Township master plan for DDA maps and call it good.
They wanted a page number of the
They
map,
gave me the map.
like map number 8 or whatever,
They're,
but that's okay.
they're
They voted on
They're
it.
misinterpreting the point of bylaws versus like the DDA development plan. That was the problem.
But we got past that, and they.
Anyway, we had to update I mean, so much had changed since 1990,
Yeah,
the
they've never been
statute,
updated.
the statute and all that. So I'll make a motion, we approve the DDA
Okay, I'll
bylaws.
second that one. Roll call vote, Kelly?
Troy Farmer,
Yes.
Mark Holt,
Yes.
Mark Frazier,
yes,
Francis Griffin. Yeah?
Yes. Brett,
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Kelly
yes.
Schmidt, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Kelly, 2023 update FOIA detail cost itemization for services.
Okay, so every year that we have a wage increase, we should be updating our FOIA detailed cost itemization because it's based on the lowest paid person that can do the work, which it was $16.25 and it's increased to $18 now. So we need to approve the update to the detailed cost itemization for FOIA. So I'll make a motion to approve that.
All right, Kelly's gonna make a motion to approve,
I'll second.
and Mark's gonna second that. Roll call vote, Kelly.
Mark Foltz?
Yes.
Mark Frazier?
Yes.
Francis Griffin?
Yes.
Kelly Schmidt, yes, Troy Farmer.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Before I go on, let me backtrack on the bylaws. Do I need to have the chairperson of the DDA, he will
Eventually.
sign this? So if I can have one of these to sign, I'll take with me Monday, or Tuesday when we go, I'll have him sign it.
Okay.
Okay, I just thought of that. All right, lastly, Shiawassee Regional Annual Dinner. I don't even know where my note is on that, but that is, what did I tell you, Kelly, you got
50.
it?
So, it's May 26th, the annual dinner for the Shiawassee Regional Chamber of Commerce. I make a motion to allow anybody that wants to go to the annual dinner in the amount of $50 per person.
Motion been
Where's
made.
it at?
What's the place called?
It is at the Z Hall.
Uh-huh.
Which is where?
It's, you go into Wausau, it's
Owasso.
on the east, back in there.
The ZCBJ hall, is that what
It
it
just
is?
says the Z Hall.
Yeah, I think it's the old ZBG. Yeah.
There you go, yeah. It's nice,
It's on-
I'm sure.
It's off of Corona
Mark
Avenue
doesn't know
between,
where it is, but.
between Owasso and Corona.
Yeah,
It's kind of by the, not quite the road commission.
I'll second it.
They've got a big dining room.
Motion been made, seconded, all, roll call vote.
Mark Frazier,
Yes.
Francis Griffin.
Yes.
Kelly Schmidt, yes, Troy Farmer.
Yes.
Mark Foltz.
Yes. No public
They
left,
call it Z.
they all left.
Motion to adjourn.
What time?
Second.
Who seconded it?
Butch did.
Butch did.
Okay.
Yeah.
8:30 you said?
8:20.
8:20.
10, no, 8:10. That's not bad.
We'll fix this.
Are you okay?